Welcome to Alphanumeric, the fiction and poetry podcast featuring pieces selected from the award-winning NonBinary Review. Today, Melanie in the Middle by Liam Hogan. When people ask, I tell them I was the middle child. When they find out my mother was only pregnant once, because once is plenty when you have identical triplets, they grin or laugh. It's not funny. Not even before you discover what happened to my sisters. News that freezes faces, stills mirth, turns a bright day dark. In every family photo, from the first until the last, from gurning nappies through pigtails to awkward teenagers, I'm the girl in the middle. Always. In everything. In the back seat of a series of ever-expanding cars, in sports, never first, never last, in academic success, in luck, in love, in life. I'm in the middle, sandwiched between two extremes. I was born 7.5 minutes after Olivia and 13 minutes before Trinity. We were all underweight, of course, months early, but Olivia was 2 ounces heavier and Trinity 5 ounces lighter. Not that you'd know by the time we celebrated our first birthday. In appearances, we were too close for most to tell apart. But I know what I know. I can point myself out in any group picture. Melanie, in the middle. Everyone knew that Olivia and Trinity would make their respective splashes, one destined for greatness, the other infamy. As for me, not so much. A footnote. The other triplet. At school, I was the balance between star pupil and constant disruption, between order and chaos, good and bad, hardworking and underachieving, Melanie mediocre. At home, I was the yardstick my parents used to decide if my sister's behavior was acceptable or not, which by perverse logic meant that I was never rewarded, never punished. Every year on our birthday and on that other anniversary, I stand between their adjacent headstones, blaming myself. Blaming them in my next breath, blaming parents and a world that never properly learned to tell us apart in my third. Wondering, as I must, if they're even in the right graves. Because while everything I've told you is true, I haven't told you it all. Yes, in every photo, I'm the girl in the middle, but you've probably assumed something. That it was always Trinity on my left and Olivia on my right. Always Olivia who scored the highest and Trinity who was in trouble. And the records, school and otherwise, would back you up. But reality wouldn't. Because Olivia was the triplet who was brilliant and good and kind, and Trinity was the triplet who messed up, who took delight in crashing out, who was spiteful and clumsy. Are we who we claim to be, or what we do? If Trinity claimed to be Olivia, to escape detention or a stint on the naughty step, no one believed her. It was too obvious a deception, because Olivia would never do what she had just done. With that hard-grained, etched in stone, it didn't actually matter which triplet scored the top marks or which was stuck with writing lines. All the credit went one way, the debit the other. The difference exaggerated, accentuated. Me, the wedge between. In those photos, looking back, I can't remember, and now I can't tell which sister is which. They swap places on an almost daily, sometimes hourly basis. The few clues, favorite bracelets, different colored hair grips, their position either side of me, covertly exchanged along with their names. Even at the time, I struggled to keep track. It all came to a head the summer before we were due to go to university. I had a solid offer for a practical, unexciting degree from a mid-rank uni, ridiculously glad, if quiet about it, that I would finally be out from under their combined shadows. But Trinity and Olivia wanted to prolong their game, continue living their double lives, and go to the same city, even the same halls. Problem was, Trinity didn't get the grades. You might think that obvious, that she was never going to, but she got closer than anyone expected. I wonder who sat which papers, how carefully they tried to divide the honors between them, but whether by luck or by lingering reputation, Olivia squeaked in, and Trinity fell just short. In the final weeks before we were forced to go our different ways, an almighty battle broke out. Who would get to be Olivia and who Trinity? Who would go on to glory and who would have a whale of a time but probably get expelled before the first term was out? At the inquest, I said they were distraught at being torn apart. But that, even then, they'd never intended to go through with it. On top of that windswept cliff overlooking a slate-gray sea. I didn't tell them about the fierce arguments, the jostling, the insults howled into the wind, or that I was called upon to back up one and then the other, a barrage of wheedling and recriminations and threats that had been covering my ears. Until I snapped, until I screamed, "No more!" They stepped back in surprise and alarm that the mouse had roared, stepped and slipped, fingers tightly intertwined. Who fell first? Who dragged the other after? Does it matter? I should have been between them, holding their hands, the steadfast rock preventing the moment of madness. I could have, should have, jumped after them, done my best to catch up on the way down. 3 triplets, dead at the bottom of a cliff. What a story that would have been. Easier than what followed. The toxic guilt, the parents falling apart, my life on hold, possibly indefinitely. You're probably wondering one thing. 3 identical babies, 2 exhausted parents, 1,000 nappy changes and shared beds. How can anyone be so certain that I was the second-born child? You can't. We can't. I can't. But still, I know. It is at the very core of me. I'm Melanie, in the middle. This has been Melanie in the Middle by Liam Hogan, read for you by Lee Quintana. Our music was Sands of Time by Juan Sanchez Music, provided by Pixabay.com. Alphanumeric is a production of Zoetic Press and is mixed and mastered by our fabulous production team, Madison Ellingsworth and Lee Quintana. If you'd like a sneak preview of pieces you'll only see in the full issue of Non-Binary Review, head over to our website and sign up for our weekly newsletter. Better yet, just buy Non-Binary Review Issue number 39, Mistaken Identity. You can also hear all the news that's fit to post by following Zoetic Press on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube. If you love us as much as we love you, please support us by giving us a rating and leaving us a swell review on your podcast app. We'd appreciate it more than kids love pulling the "I've got an identical twin" prank on their friends. You should also subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Non-Binary Review, because humans are hardwired to tell stories.